Um, and I can start whenever. My training is as a philosopher. Interestingly, that turned out to be super helpful for doing the kind of cultural analysis that I'm doing now. In some ways, I think it plays out what I learned from figures of a previous generation like Francis Schaeffer, who in a way was doing cultural analysis, but that always required that you deal with the ideas that are at work in a culture. And I think that's why I got drawn into philosophy. I think I've always been interested in how these things hit the ground. But you do start to realize that there's a kind of trickle-down effect. So one of the reasons why my work has gravitated towards considerations of postmodernism and those sorts of phenomena and challenges and opportunities is because I was trained in French phenomenology. My specialization is people like Jacques Derrida and Jean-François Lyotard, and I was drawn to that particular specialty because it seemed to have relevance for the sorts of phenomena that we bump into in what we call our postmodern context or our late modern context. That said, I think I was always learning philosophy alongside and with theological interests, and from the time I was a sophomore in college, I had read Alvin Plantinga's famous kind of manifesto called Advice to Christian Philosophers, which laid out a vision for me of how to be a Christian philosopher. So I don't think that philosophy is some neutral project. I think you can pursue it as a Christian. I guess what I wouldn't have anticipated is that philosophical work, and in particular engaging those French sorts of theorists, Foucault, Bourdieu, things like that, would actually press me to recognize that it's not just that ideas trickle down into a culture. It's that cultural practices kind of carry their own social imaginary. So there's also a kind of bubbling up from the rituals and rhythms and routines of a culture. And it was also philosophical sources that primed me to see that. So it's so strange in some ways that you can draw a line from my work on people like Foucault and Pierre Bourdieu as the impetus for what became my work on liturgy and worship, and then cultural liturgies and what I call secular liturgies. And in some sense, it was French atheists that became the catalyst for me to recover the centrality of Christian worship and Christian liturgy as the hub of Christian formation and cultural formation. So it's been in one way, it's a circuitous path, but in the other way, I can look back and sort of see how I was led to be prepared to do the sort of work that I'm doing now.